Hello, and welcome to Breakaway, Leadership for a Sound Mind and Body, brought to you by the University of Michigan Leadership Collaborative, a community dedicated to advancing leadership learning across the university for students who seek to develop and progress as leaders. I'm James McCrae, and I'm your guide on this podcast journey. In this series, we're asking you to break away from the norms of your daily routines to explore the challenges that leaders face in developing healthy habits that fuel the mind and body. So I'm inviting you to take this opportunity to do something that you consider active while we engage you mentally. Now, let's join our amazing guests as we break away.
From the Sanger Leadership Center, I'm Nick Viviano, and this is Story Lab. Story Lab is an inclusive community for students to practice the powerful leadership skill of influential storytelling. In a space where every voice is valued and respected, students take ownership of their unique perspectives and learn how to use storytelling to inspire, motivate, and engage. On today's podcast, a storyteller shares how their journey of redefinition and risk-taking empowered her to strive for a more personally meaningful and authentic future. Today's featured storyteller is Sereeno Chen.
A long passage of text on the computer screen stares at me. I'm trying to contain all those words and information in front of me into my working memory, but feel it all slipping away. Beads of sweat hang on my forehead. My face grows hotter. The screen seems too bright for my eyes now. Taking shallow breaths, I tell myself, forget that question. Just forget about it. But advancing on to the next question, I still could not figure out the answer. 10 minutes left. What is going on right now? Can I even finish? 5 minutes left. I reach the summary page where I see the questions I answered and those I have yet to answer. Staring back at me were around 20 out of 60 questions left blank. Should I just guess now? What do I do? 1 minute. 10 seconds. 9 seconds. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. End. My face now burns. Everything gets blurry as I see the screen through a growing pool of tears. Fighting to hold them back, I dash out of the exam room into a bathroom stall, locking myself in. Sitting on the toilet, I watch the first few droplets of tears splash onto the floor as my mind is flooded with a million thoughts. Am I meant to become a doctor? Is this it? Have I finally been eliminated or weeded out from going to medical school? I have a solid GPA. I've suffered through numerous pulse-racing exams, ending up fine. Why is it that I can't tackle one more, this MCAT right now? I can't be the only one feeling like this. Heading back into the exam room for the next section, I fight back the tears, hoping no one saw me. Minutes pass by, and all the words in front of me fly straight over my head. A lump in my throat forms. What did I even read? What was the passage about? Instead, I found myself still grappling with what simple sugars made up sucrose from the chemistry and physics section. When it was time for break again, I rushed back into the same bathroom stall, its beige metal dividers becoming my cocoon where I could unleash the raw torrent of emotions. Tears poured down my cheeks like a river breaking through a dam, each droplet a testament to the flood of feelings within me defying any attempt at restraint. Wanting the 7-hour computerized exam to end already, I sat in the exam room for the next 5 hours reflecting on myself. I'll come back stronger next time. A lot of people take it more than once. Reaching the final page of the exam, I voided it. I voided my exam. The following year, I thought I prepared myself harder mentally to take the exam, but I repeated the same experience over again. Med school went on the back burner. I could not check off the MCAT yet, but most importantly, I wanted my gap years to be in public health as this was my side interest. Now in my Master's of Public Health program at U of M, I'm sitting in some of the most interesting classes I've taken. Actively soaking up as much as possible in these classes, I feel my mind not only keeping up with the material, but racing ahead with influences from my personal life, informing the comments and questions I ask. Never before my pre-med classes, my hand now shoots up into the air before I know it to offer counterpoints, contributing to the discussion on health disparities. I feel a deep connection to individuals who face barriers ranging from finances to language, culture, immigration status, geographic location. In a low-income household where finances mattered more than health, my immigrant dad worked 6 days a week for 14 to 16 hours a day, neglecting physical health and foregoing health insurance, which led to the onset of diabetes and worsened existing thyroid disease. Due to the language barrier, my parents would have to sacrifice an entire day's worth of income to travel to New York City, where there were healthcare providers who shared our cultural background and could speak Chinese. Class time flies, and I don't have enough time to say everything I want to. I circle back to ideas my peers brought forward that I want to add to. Staying behind after class ends, I look for a way to say what is on my mind and don't want to miss out on anything else my professor or other lingering peers might say. Finally, we all leave. I feel refreshed, finding words and science for the very experiences I grew up with that I could never put a name to before. I feel seen that my peers understood me in a space where we shared our vulnerabilities. Hours later, I find myself replaying in my mind that class session over and over again, reflecting on not only the new perspectives I gained, but also how energized and revived I felt. Recently, my parents asked me about medical school because I'm about to graduate soon. My heart skipped a beat since my career goals have personally always been a sensitive topic in the family. They see medicine as an honest profession with high financial security and prestige. I pause, take a deep breath, then say medical school is no longer in the picture for me. My dad immediately looks away. I could see the creases forming on his face full of disappointment. Finally, he responds, "What are you going to do now, a PhD?" I answered, "I don't know yet. I want to go out and work in public health to see what my options are first." "How much money are you even going to make?" "I don't know." Deep down, I knew no answer would remove those prominent creases on his face. At the same time, a huge sense of relief washes over me. Though I'm still grappling with the shame of letting down my dad, a new feeling ignites within me, slowly overpowering my shame like a wildfire. Yes, I did not choose the path they wanted, but I am not a failure. I'm not a failure for choosing what makes me come alive. Instead, this is my success because I found where I can shine my best.
Let's dive deeper. I spoke with Sereeno to learn more about how she defied expectations and overcame obstacles to find her purpose. Sereeno, thank you so much for joining me in the Story Lab today.
Thank you for having me, Nick.
Thank you. So the question I always like to ask, because it's always on my mind after listening to these stories, why this story?
I guess I come from a background where parent expectations were really high, and I know I'm not the only one that grew up in this sort of environment. My parents wanted me to go to medical school, and so I've sort of always been checking off the boxes, making sure that I was hitting my pre-med requirements and all of that. But I sort of came to a point in my life where I decided this was not the right fit for me, and I feel like that's something often that that people can go through, especially with pre-med students. And so I wanted to be able to share that story out loud, that there shouldn't be any shame or guilt in feeling that way, and that a lot of times it's just sort of all about the fit. finding the right fit, and it's not a failure on your end.
Was it challenging to redefine and defy those expectations placed on you from an early age?
Thanks for the question, Nick. I would say it's been challenging because I guess the people around me, not just my parents, my relatives, and also just like friends and stuff, would always say that they could see me being a doctor because I had the personality of a doctor. I was good at, I was patient. I was a patient and kind person. I liked helping people. I was good at my science classes all throughout high school and undergrad. Um, so it sort of seemed like this would be a path that I should be going on. And if I didn't, it'd be a waste of my talent. So it was challenging at first to sort of do away with going to med school and becoming a doctor. Sort of being a risk taker. I think that was super important for me. Although I've always come off as someone who is patient and kind, and maybe I was quiet as a kid back then, but I've also learned that I like taking chances and I like being able to try out different things. And so I did a lot of that in undergrad as well, doing stuff on the side that made me realize that this is maybe a better fit for me going into public health, learning more about the social sciences and how that really impacts our health outcomes at the end of the day.
I also really resonated with the idea of the need to take risks in order to find your path and move forward. But the thing about that, risk involves failure. And I think coming from places where failure isn't an option because failure might mean not being able to pay the bills at the end of the month, it's so challenging to move away from that mindset, a mindset that was instilled upon me from my father from my earliest of memories. So how do you get more comfortable with being okay with failure?
I would say that I became more comfortable with failure after a lot of trial and error, and also creating a big network of people that um, my support network is what I wanted to say. It's important to identify the people who are close to you, whether that be your family, your friends, even your coworkers, your partner, just the people there who will support you no matter what you're going through. And so after sort of curating a good support network, um, but then also being able to talk to different people who are a little bit ahead of their careers than me to sort of know what's out there already, that kind of helped me feel more safe and going about the decisions that I was going to make.
Sereno, how did you find the communities of support that you needed?
Yeah, that was basically just me identifying the people in my life who would always listen to me whenever I was experiencing not always the ups, but the downs in my life. People who wouldn't judge me for making certain decisions in my life. Um, and in a way that also um, became my mom. I feel like at first she was disappointed with my decision, but she was able to accept that and became more of a listening ear instead of someone who would constantly judge me for not making the decision to go to medical school.
That's powerful. That's powerful to see that change, even if it happened a little bit over time. Even if we're still in it a bit, what does it feel like to be where you are now compared with where you were at the beginning of your story?
Right now, I'm in a much happier place. I feel a deep connection to my field because I was someone who is a first generation student. I grew up with some health inequities related to language barriers, cultural barriers, all of that. Those are things that we talk about in public health. Those are things that we sort of hone in on to understand why certain people experience health disparities. And so I'm in a place right now where I'm much happier than I was before because I feel very driven to help people who face a similar problem.
Happiness, drive, connection. Sereeno, what was the message that you needed to hear?
I wish I had told myself, is this truly the path that's for me? I think a message for me would have been, you have an identity. I've always felt like I've been molded into what my parents wanted, what society felt like I was going to be. And so I neglected really looking into myself. What were my passions? What were my values? What did I really care about? What is something that I'm really good at, and what is something that I can't really stop thinking about at the end of the day, even when I come back home? These are things I never took care to really incorporate in my life. And so I think that knowing your identity, just always tapping into your inner self, and asking yourself those questions throughout your life, is going to be crucial. And I know right now for me, I'm transitioning out of school, but I'm still going to ask myself these questions because your life is not just one journey, it's several different journeys. And you never really stop learning more about yourself in that whole process.
I really do think that when you're in it, and in it could be in the middle of finals or living with your parents and having their opinions placed upon you every morning, it can be really challenging to see what could be. And so I thank you for imparting those messages of wisdom for people who may be in that place. Thank you so much for joining me in the Story Lab today.
Thank you so much, Nick.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast. For any of our listeners currently enrolled at the University of Michigan, we hope to see you at a future Story Lab event. Story Lab retreats, where students workshop the art and architecture of story development and delivery, are offered twice during the fall and winter semesters. If you want to learn more about Story Lab, please go to our website at sanger.umich.edu. Thank you.
That brings us to the end of this episode, but your reflection on the topic doesn't have to end here. Make sure you visit our website at mlead.umich.edu/breakaway. There, you will find the discussion questions as well as more information about our guests. You will also find more episodes in the series there. Please don't forget to leave feedback wherever you listen to podcasts. And finally, on behalf of the Michigan Leadership Collaborative, please take care of yourselves. Thank you for listening, and go Blue.